Hey everyone, welcome to POPXP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the POPXP channel. Oh, hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on?
What?
Get a little
So what's up, everyone? How we doing? Mr. Tucci, Mr. Blevins. How are you on this happy Monday?
Doing great, man. I'm designing the ad for previews.
You are.
Previews for you there, old scalawag.
Get that rough over, mister. I'm allocating tomorrow night for that.
I'm doing well, and I'm not working on any roughs.
There you go. Yeah, well, maybe you can pick up.
Oh, man, we got a great show tonight.
Yes.
This is a great show. Bittersweet, maybe.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe bittersweet. We got some
spoilers, but freaking awesome. What an honor it is to have this.
I have to say, I'm really excited. Our guest tonight, he's come to know us. We've come to know him. It's the second time coming on the show. Just absolute fans, speaking for myself, back since, this comic first hit the scene back in '92. I mean, just absolutely incredible. Impacted my life as far as character development, design, really just brought me out of, like I've said before, brought me out of Gotham City because I was such a Batman nut. And then this happened and the whole Image thing boomed and just everything they put together. But in particular, for me, SHADOWHAWK has just always been the pivotal Image series. So I'm definitely pumped, man. And Blevins, I know you kind of have that same love.
Absolutely, man. Like growing up, getting into comics, like, I was right there at the beginning of the Image comics. Like, I was there right before everybody split off to go, change the comic book industry, before everybody broke off on that journey to just destroy the mold that was comic books. And yeah, like I made a post online about how this was like the first cover that caught me, that solid black with the shiny silver, I mean, I see it back behind you too. Like I can't miss it. Can't miss it. But yeah, I mean, very great memories. First introduction of characters with real world problems, since all the North Star situation that happened during Alpha Flight around that time, But yeah, I mean, it's again.
In your background, man, that you're developing there in the new studio has me feeling the streets, those alleyways that SHADOWHAWK was in.
I actually got mugged before I got on here.
Oh, snap.
I thought so. But you made it through. So, gentlemen, without further ado, shall we bring in our guests for tonight?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right, everyone, please welcome back to the show, Mr. Jim Valentino. Welcome back, Jim. How we doing?
How amazing.
Yeah, doing great. How are you guys?
Doing good.
I'm a little sad, but I'm doing well.
Sad?
Yeah, I'm a little sad.
You can't be sad.
I mean, I'm excited, but I'm also a little sad. It literally is bittersweet,
Well, we don't know. We haven't asked our questions yet. But Jim, for those that don't know and have seen the promos, 2022 has been an amazing year. With Image, a lot of 30th anniversaries, and now up on the docket here is the 30th anniversary of SHADOWHAWK, and that's what we're here to talk about because we are 2 days away from the official release where you can pick up your copies, at your local comic shops and other retailers. And Jim, right off the bat, I mean, what was it like now after what was the last publication? Was it 2010 for SHADOWHAWK?
Maybe. I don't know.
Somewhere around there. Well, What was it like getting back into the swing and putting together a SHADOWHAWK book?
Well, this one was really strange. I mean, because it basically started. Brian Haberlin called me up. He, I think, was the last issue of a Lighthouse book that he was doing, and asked if he could have Philip draw a cover with SHADOWHAWK on it. SHADOWHAWK in outer space. And I was like, sure, what the hell? Philip has always loved SHADOWHAWK and always said if I wanted to do something with him, then blah, blah. So that kind of started the ball rolling a bit. And, again, after the cover, Philip was like, well, I'd really want to do something with Shadowhawk. I really want to do something with Shadowhawk. And I said, okay. I knew the 30th anniversary was coming up in August. And I just said, let's do a one-shot for August, for the 30th anniversary. So Philip's initial idea was to do a story where Shadowhawk dies, but there's a whole bunch of kid Shadowhawks.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that sort of was like We Are Robin, a storyline that DC did a few years ago. So Philip laid out his pages and wrote his story. And then Brian Haberlin came up here to Portland. And we sat down together, and I wrote what I call a dirty script. And a dirty script is going as fast as I can, stream of consciousness, writing it out. And then I sent it back to Brian. Brian added his stuff to it, sent it back to me. I added my stuff. He did the final polish, and that's what you've got.
Oh, it's incredible.
So the art was done first, because I saw that, like story by Philip, and then he drew it.
Yeah.
And then you guys scripted it sort of like Marvel style, the old.
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. What we decided was that we wanted it to be, really the death of Shadowhawk and this idea of comeuppance, if you will, retribution, consequences played into it very, very seriously. And we realized that was really the way to go, that it's been 30 years since Shadowhawk, so it makes sense that a kid would have grown up to seek vengeance against him. And that's basically the story.
Incredible. And the interior artwork, I have to say, Philip, well, first off, Philip, for those that aren't familiar with his work, he's a phenomenal artist, covers, interiors.
Philip
Tan, yeah. Sorry. And just absolute incredible artist. This right here, and this was posted online, so I'm showing it, but this right here is just an idea of just how incredible his work is. And, unbelievable.
Yeah. And the cool thing is while he was doing Shadowhawk, he was also doing Ronin Part 2 for Frank's company.
Mm-hmm. That's neat. Which actually is.
You guys want to talk to him about that for sure?
Yeah. So that's for those that don't know what Jim's talking about is, and there's going to be an Ash Can releasing on the 17th as well. So if you're at your local comic shop picking up, the Last Shadowhawk, which I'm sure you're all doing, pick up the Ash Can as well. I believe it's $1. And I know Dan DiDio was talking to us about that, Billy, at Terrificon. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be pretty cool. So we'll have them on. I know Dan will probably come on. Frank, I don't know if we can get him, but that'd be cool. But yeah, that's incredible. I have to say, so, as a lifelong Shadowhawk fan, again, what caught me was just like Blevins. I walked into Card Castle, 1992, in Old Meriden, Connecticut, and I saw it there on the wall. Just as, 2 years later, I saw she on the wall, just a gripping, headshot of Shadowhawk's helmet and everything right there. Had to get it, got it. I was hooked. And one thing is, reading the sample of the book that you sent to us, as a fan who's read all of the issues, all of the one shots, it brought it home. It really did bring it home. So you can tell that, this wasn't just a quick, let's run up with something, guys. Let's just put something together. This is how we want it to be. But actually, it all worked. Because he fought, he did his justice in the way he felt was necessary, but he also battled personal illness and sickness and his friends, reaping consequences because of his actions. And, one thing that was mentioned many times throughout the series is kind of how tired he was, right? And it seemed to be kind of a theme going through, because battling the mental, the physical, your surroundings, trying to better a world that just doesn't want to grip to what it should be. It really brought it home for me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for that. You realize as you get older that you can't do the things that you did when you were younger. Mm-hmm. Well, you can, but you're going to pay for it. And I think that was what we were trying to get across.
Yeah. Brian, thoughts?
Yeah. So first of all, like I know you said during the start of this, which answered one of the questions that I had was, is this going to be a one shot? Because, on the one cover of the book, it says, first issue in a while, so I didn't know if that was something that, like this wasn't necessarily the end of the first issue. And, at the time, over the course of all of this, there's been so many different Shadowhawks. And it seems like this one, this was obviously the Paul, this was Paul actually getting, taking his, like he had already died one time. Spoiler alert, he died one time back in the day, and then came
He
back.
got better.
Resurrect. He got over it. He got over it.
He brushed it off.
And obviously they're just, like, hey, look, man, like we can help you out. And he's like, no, I'm good. Like I'm trying to understand, like, is there a chance that we'll see some of these other Shadowhawks from the past maybe get resurrected as you did in this one, and maybe continue with the Shadowhawk story? Or is this it?
Well, never say never, except for sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to say never, but at the same time, I don't think so. Now, in saying that, I did promise Todd that he could use Shadowhawk in a couple of issues of The Scorched. So there may be a Shadowhawk popping up there. I don't know which one,
or maybe a new one. Maybe a new one. New iteration.
I don't know. And I don't know what the continuity would be or anything like that. So I mean, that's there. But as far as I'm concerned, no. One of the things is next year I intend to retire. It just, yeah. So like I'm working, so we did the Shadowhawk book, and now I'm working on completely revamping Normal Man to the point where we're restoring all the pages so they look like they were shot from the originals.
Oh, cool.
Better.
Nice.
It's getting edited, relettered, and recolored, and it'll be in an oversized omnibus.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Normal Man remastered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Renormalized.
And it'll come out January 2024, which is 40 years after Normal Man came out. And it's also my son Aaron's 40th birthday. So same thing.
Nice.
So that's it. And then I'm done.
Well, now
I just want to throw in, that's my 40th birthday time too.
Yeah.
January 2024.
Yeah. No, he's older than me. I'm December 2024.
Okay. Well,
I know Niall already told you thank you for everything, and I definitely want to add that in here. Again, thanks for everything. Like, I mean, the stories have been amazing. I mean, where you went with these characters, again, is unique compared to what the rest of the Image universe did, especially at the beginning. It was all magic and superheroes and all this stuff. And I mean, you made a character that stood out without like really the frills, and I think that I mean, he had a
kick-ass costume though.
I mean, the exosuit was definitely awesome. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he was at risk every time he went out.
Yeah.
Where some of these other people, they weren't really at risk when they went out in the other books. But man, thank you so much. And man, just getting, being able to be here and talk to you about, this final entry into what would be Shadowhawk is just, I mean, like the kid in me is just like super, super excited, but also super sad to see something that you love come to an end. Mm-hmm. But again, thank you for the journey.
Yeah. And I want to throw that in too about just, I know that there's been, intercompany crossovers and stuff with Image and all, but, being the comics I loved growing up were, Sergeant Rock and, Daredevil. And that's like the world like Shadowhawk's in, like a Daredevil world, like New York City, same world as She. Like, so She could never be in a world with Brigade or Wildcats. Well, we did a crossover with Wildcats, so I guess we did.
You can do it. You can do it.
You're right. Wait a minute. You're right about that now. But it's not really like alien invasions at all, and it's back alleys and things like that. Like we're talking pulp, and if Niall had mentioned pulp or Blevins, I forget who. And that's my genre too. That's what I love. That's my wheelhouse, I guess, creatively, and that's why it spoke to me too. And I remember the same thing Niall said, seeing that cover on the stands, and you're like, oh my God, look at that. And I just want to ask you about it's been 30 years, right? Could you walk us through, if you can, go back 31 years, say, or when you decided, yeah, let's do this. I'm in. You're all working for the big two. You decide to break out on your own, taking a lot of risks. And there were a lot of people that were rooting against you guys.
Oh, sure.
The ones that weren't were the fans who were dying for something like this. Could you take us back to basically that whole metamorphosis of how it started from here? You guys are working on your mainstream books, and then I don't know if it was Rob, I think, first, or said, with the Malibu guys talking to, can you give us a little insight of how did Shadowhawk come to be?
It came from an older idea that I had for a character for Archie called Fox. And then I redid it. Part of it was, and sorry, but part of it was that I just felt Batman wasn't doing his job. He would catch the Joker would get out, the Joker would kill a bunch more people. And, it was the same dance over and over again, right? As an adult and as a publisher and a creator, you understand the reason for that is the Joker sold books, and that was it. So they weren't going to kill the Joker off. He was just too important to them. But as a fan, you go, wait a minute. This guy's not supposed to have superpowers, but he never trips over his cape. It's like, come on, this guy is the best at everything in the whole bloody world, but he doesn't have powers. It's like, really? Come on, how much of this can you take? So that's where the genesis of the idea came from. As to when I joined Image, Rob had been talking to the three people that he knew best in the industry for the whole entire summer, and there were a few things that led up to it. But Todd was retired at the time. Todd wanted to do hockey cards, I think there's some law in Canada that says you have to like hockey. I'm not sure, but I think so.
Billy loves hockey too.
Yeah, I do.
I think it's surprising. A lot of people didn't realize that Todd was retired then.
Yeah, he was. He retired with, I think it was Spider-Man 16. It was when his daughter Cyan was born. Anyways, he wanted to do hockey cards. That's what and actually there exists a big one sheet of the hockey cards that he did.
Yeah, Rob Liefeld talks about that all the time.
Yeah, he has it.
Why sit in the upper deck when you can sit in the front row?
Yeah.
That's what he sounded like. It was awesome.
So anyway, so Rob was talking to Todd, Eric, and I. Okay. And Rob and I shared a studio off and on and off and on and off and on. I've heard Todd say that there were only 3 of them. Not true. There were 4. So Eric signed on immediately, which is typical of Eric. He just, balls to the walls. I don't care. Screw it. Todd took a lot of convincing, and I was not on a million-selling book. I didn't have, I wasn't a millionaire. I had 5 kids.
Wow.
I was the oldest of the bunch, So I was taking the greatest risk, and there's no question about that. Almost none of them were married at the time, much less having children.
Yeah, because if this folly of an experiment failed, they weren't hiring you back, were they?
Yeah, no, not me.
Yeah,
they would have hired Todd and Rob back, but they would have made them pay for it.
Mm.
But the reason is that Todd and Rob put, butts in the seats, But, part of the problem was that, we were the troublemakers, we were the ones who didn't want to go along getting along. So if you're selling 1 million copies a month, you can get away with that. If you're not, you don't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Rob and Todd were going to New York for Sotheby's auction. It was the very first time Sotheby's had auctioned off comic art, original comic art. And they were auctioning Spider-Man #1, X-Force #1, and X-Men #1 by Jim. And so Todd calls me up out of the blue and says, I got Eric Larson in one of my back pockets, and I want to know if I got Jimmy Valentino in the other. By the way, every one of us does an imitation of Todd, but it's actually Rob imitating Todd.
Oh,
Yeah,
you imitate Rob
yeah,
doing Todd.
Yeah.
That's what Blevins did there for everyone.
Yeah.
Rob is just fabulous at it. He can imitate almost anybody, except he won't do it in front of you. It's like, do me. It's like, no, I don't do you. Yes, you do. So Todd calls me up, and I said, are you in? And he said, yeah. And I said, you're not going to leave us at the altar, man. You are in. You're going to do this. I'm in. And I went, okay, I'm in. Then I had to go home and tell my wife.
And how did that go?
Well, I went in with a shield, and a chair, to keep her at bay, she'd known about the discussion, right, for a long time, of course. And she thought about it for half a minute, and then she said, no, I think it's the right thing to do. So Rob and Todd go to New York. They run into Mark Silvestri. One of the first things, they're walking down the hotel. You know how in a hotel, when you're at a convention, you run into people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They ran into Mark. Mark hadn't even been mentioned at this point. We were all scared about telling Jim Lee because Jim was Marvel's golden boy at the time. I mean, now he's DC's golden boy. But, at the time he was Marvel's. So they ran into Mark and told Mark what was going on. And Mark signed on. Boom, right away. Then later on that evening or that night or whatever it was, they had a meeting with Jim. And Jim said he wanted to see the numbers from the first few issues before he signed on, which is very typical Jim. Then by the next day, and I don't know how he did it, that Todd does these things, he somehow or another got Jim to go with him and Rob into Terry Stewart's office, where Todd, Terry Stewart offered them Epic, and in his usual colorful way, Todd told him where he could stuff Epic. And so, I'm sure Jim was horrified, but if you've ever met the two of them or know the two of them, it's that dichotomy is. So anyway, and then Todd dragged them both over to DC to tell them that they weren't going to work there either. Anyways, Bob called me up sometime during all of this, and he said, "We got Mark Silvestri." I go, "Oh, Mark Silvestri, that's awesome!" He's a great artist, great guy. He's tall, but we forgive him. It's like, it's okay. You're tall. What can you do? And then he said that they got Jim. And I went, holy shit. So I called up Larry Martyr, and who who was one of my confidants at the time. Him and Eric Stevenson both knew about this before anybody else, or at least on my side. And I called up Larry and I said, "Do you remember that Avalanche that we'd been talking about all summer?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "I think it just became an atomic bomb."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Rob and Todd are in New York right now, and they just signed on Jim Lee." And Larry just went silent for like a beat or so. And then he said, "You guys are going to do so much damage." I burst out laughing.
That's a great title for a book.
It was true, though.
That is a great title.
You guys are going to do so much damage.
You guys are going to do so much damage.
Yeah. Which, and yeah, there were a lot of people against us. The funny thing was, Billy, is I'm not sure if you know or not, but we laughed at most of those people. They became the butt of the jokes. It was sort of like, well, okay. Terry Stewart said that, we'd never make it because we're just a bunch of stupid artists.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And Todd just said, well, we're just stupid enough to try. Yeah. So, and being an artist and a writer and a creator, when you add the business part of it into that, it's a whole nother level. And most creators can't really do it. The few that can usually do pretty okay for themselves, but most creators can't do it, or they won't do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's another full-time job.
It is.
On top of being a penciler, which is a full-time job, and an inker, which is a full-time job, and a writer, and a marketing guy. They're all you're wearing so many hats, and you're doing multiple full-time jobs.
Right, which was one of the reasons, and not an excuse, but it was one of the reasons why a lot of the books were real late. You had to set up, it was the reason why we partnered with Malibu at first. We had no infrastructure. We had, we were going from being mostly pencilers at Marvel, and in some cases, artists and writers at Marvel, to the whole shebang. Yeah. And, like you just said, it's adding multiple jobs upon multiple jobs upon multiple jobs. You basically have to segment out your work schedule in order to do it. And even then it's exhausting. Yeah. Beyond belief, it's exhausting.
I can imagine. Now, when you guys were transitioning to Malibu, in this, in your transition time, I should say, were they giving you guys any work to float anything in the meantime? Or were you guys just all focused on your own stuff?
We were all working on. Well, you got to remember when Image broke, it was national news. I mean, we were on CNN, we were in Barron's magazine, we were literally everywhere. Mm-hmm. No, we had to focus in on what we were doing. No, what they did do was they took 10% of the gross. Oof. And then
of the gross
created 3 companies to compete with us.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, it was the bargain. It was the bargain that we made, and we stuck to it, and so did they. What they did with the money was, was their money at that point.
Shout out David Olbrich.
Yeah. Oh, Dave's a good guy. I've always liked Dave.
Yeah, we like Dwo a lot. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Now, when this happened, was DeFalco editor-in-chief?
Yeah.
He was.
Well, we loved DeFalco.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember
was he upset with everything going on?
Huh?
Did he get upset with the whole, obviously Jim Lee leaving and all that stuff?
He probably got upset with Jim Lee leaving. I think the rest of us, he probably went. No, I remember sitting on the floor in Rob's studio with Rob, and we had a phone in front of us, and we had it on speakerphone, and Todd was on speakerphone. This is like within the first couple of weeks of Image, and Rob's trying to talk him into coming over and joining us. And Tom is just laughing hysterically and stuff. And, it was fun. There was no hard feelings there, despite what John Byrne thinks.
God, I wonder how close that would have been to actually happening.
What?
I said, I wonder how close Rob was to actually convincing him.
Oh no,
Like, that would have been insane. Can you imagine that? Like, that would have been even.
Well, we would have.
Wow.
I mean, you know, I love Tom. I still think he's a great guy.
Wow,
You know,
what could have been? That's
I know one or two creators that when I got in '94, early '94 when she came out, and I became friends with everybody. You know, because I was doing my own thing. I really didn't need anything.
You weren't in
right?
competition.
Yes, so, but then you get to become friends with people for who they are, like you and Mark and everybody, but I know a couple of creators that they were very insulted, Marvel and DC creators, maybe two of them, I guess, that you guys didn't invite them. And I'm like, well, these guys are all friends. You're not friends with them.
Yeah, and that was it.
I'm a hot penciler. They didn't ask him. Well, they didn't ask you. Do your own book.
Somebody said, how come there's no women? We didn't know any women that were, like that. I mean, it's like, damn it, I said that too. How come there aren't any women? Where are all the women? Damn it!
And at the time, what it would have been Louise Simonson would probably been the biggest name to bring over at that time.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have because Walter was,
Yeah, I was just trying to think who you would have even got.
Well, there were several women in the industry, but none of them that we knew or were close to. I mean, there was Anne Vicente, there was Louise Simonson, there was Marie Severin and Ramona Ferridan, both of whom were, just exquisite. There were women in the industry. It's just we were all in Southern California, or pretty much Southern California. We all knew one another. When at 2:00 in the morning, when you're trying to beat a deadline, that's the guy you call because he's on the phone. He's trying to beat the deadline too.
Right.
So you put you guys on speakerphone and you talk to one another and you get to know each other. Rob and I used to go to conventions together all the time.
Jim, we had somebody had asked a question. Robert Frank. Thank you, Robert. He says, Jim, are you going to be doing any cons this year or before you retire, or as I would like to ask, or after? Will you still do cons and go, head on down to San Diego or?
No, I can't.
No, huh?
Can't, unfortunately. No, I'm just not healthy enough anymore. And doing the whole convention thing, you got to remember. And Robert, thank you for that cool name, by the way. I started going to San Diego in 1974.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, that's before all you guys were born. I mean, so, it's just, man, I've done conventions all around the world, and one thing that you learn that is striking is that when you go into another country and you go to one of their conventions, it looks exactly like a convention in America, except we're all talking a foreign language.
Yeah.
You're like, it's just bizarre, but it's true. You know it, Billy. I know.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is that you go to all these cities and and you go to different countries and all, but you never really have time to see it.
No.
You gotta work.
What we used to do was we would go from one weekend to the next. We would stay about 10 days.
Oh, good.
And bring the kids and, do the whole tourist thing because we wanted the kids to see the rest of the world. So we did that and it was great. We got to see all kinds of things that I personally never thought I would be able to see. Now, I did bring something special for you guys and I wanted to show it to you.
Oh,
a few things. This is one of the really super rare covers.
Oh, wow.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's what they call cold press. And the drawings by Chris Giussaro.
Very cool.
He did just a fabulous job with it. It's something that retailers have to they have to order a certain amount of books in order to get that one. It's one of the rare ones.
Yeah.
This is another one.
Oh, gorgeous.
This is all silver. Now, this image here is that was my very first idea for the SHADOWHAWK #1 cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I gave it to Eric Stevenson, and Eric kept it all these years. And then as we were doing the SHADOWHAWK thing, he at the very last minute, he says, how about if I give it to Todd to ink? I'd forgotten all about it. So Todd actually inked this one.
That's fantastic.
That's incredible. And then here, I'm just going to pull this up so everyone can see the.
Yeah.
Did you have a white cover of that, right? A white version.
Yeah,
of
yeah. That's the the basic drawing, not on the fancy paper.
Yeah.
And then there's this one.
The gold one. What?
Ooh.
Gold one. This one is this one's signed and numbered for 30 units.
Wow.
Oh, well,
Blevins is drooling.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to get. Not gonna be able to get one of those.
No.
eBay.
The thing is that, and I can't be sure about this, but I think it's true. If that was the very first drawing, the very first idea I had for a cover for SHADOWHAWK, I will bet that Rob told me to just do the helmet. I'll bet almost any amount of money because it just sounds like something Rob would say. Yeah. Just do the helmet; it'd be cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, it
is Rob inked the helmet, didn't he?
Yeah,
Did
the helmet.
Rob inked that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
like
I said, I don't recall. He may know. So, next time you talk to him, you may want to ask him. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that would be this cover here.
Yeah. And that
was a great ominous cover, it made you want to buy it. I was like, oh
Yeah,
no, I gotta
You
buy
had
this.
to. You had no choice but to.
Yeah.
You at least took it off the shelf. Let me put it that
Yeah.
way. Everyone at least took it off the shelf.
Well, the thing was everybody was doing goofy covers at the time, right? And I wanted to do something different. So that cover has silver and red foil. It's both embossed and blind embossed. So it's using all these different things as a unit to create a piece of art. And the reason is I was on the same stands with Todd and Jim and Rob and Mark, and it's like how do you stand out, with guys like that, that are that good.
But you went super graphic and super simple with it, which is
Right.
great because the covers were so busy,
Right.
and you love it. And then you just saw, like I said, the one that that Niall was mentioning, just the helmet, with the silver and all, and for the first one I'm talking about, but same thing with this one, and it's
this is the homage.
a really great way to close it. Plus,
It's the same cover.
What?
Okay. Yeah. It's the same cover. The thing is I have the original drawing.
The original. Yeah.
There's a black and white version of it too.
It's this one right here, right? With the red.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the original looks like. Okay. That Rob and I did. Okay. I drew it and then Rob inked it. So that's hanging up in the hallway here in the house.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Then I had Brett Evans color it. Brett Evans is the guy who does my production, and he's also a colorist. So I had him color it. So the color version and the black and white version, that's the very first time that these have ever been printed.
Oh, wow.
And there's like a virgin, right? Without the logos cover.
Yeah, there's a virgin
Cover
copy
L.
without the logos. Yeah. Yeah, so there's 3 different versions. Yeah.
Yes. And then what I really like too, if you don't mind, if I can run through some of these covers. Cover A, this is Philip Tan right here. Absolutely,
Jeez, look at
absolute
that.
gorge. Look at that.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And
Yeah,
then we have cover B, which is a young blood homage.
Yeah, the first issue in a while, that was I can't remember what Rob's Youngblood cover said, but it was something
I think
about
it's
with
an
the big
amazing first issue or something.
Yeah, something like that. So we were doing a spoof on his cover, obviously.
Yeah. And then the great, who's actually on the show recently, when we were doing our Frazetta episode, the great Bill Sienkiewicz.
God.
Yeah, that's actually almost the same color from the trade paperback, right?
Yes, it is the same. Again, I have the original hanging in the hallway here.
Oh, my God.
You do?
Yeah,
Spider-Man #1 homage.
Spidey #1. Yeah, Chance inked that, and then Jimmy Robinson colored it for us. So I tried to do the logo in the same style as Spider-Man, but
yeah, no, it came out great. And then I actually like this one. It's like a collage cover.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. And they're all in order. So
So great. And then you did two. There's two for everyone that likes sketch covers. I like this because I don't see this too often. Is you have your standard white sketch cover,
Right.
then for your silver inks and other
Yes.
stuff, you have a black sketch cover.
Yeah.
And for SHADOWHAWK, this is a necessity.
Badass.
Yep.
You know that's going to look amazing.
Yes.
Getting the
Incredible.
silver ink. Incredible.
Yeah.
I had a dream about that.
That's
I had a dream
Philip
about that,
pencil. That's how detailed his pencils are.
Golly.
Incredible. And this is cover I for anyone that's interested. And then there's the version of it.
Right,
colored.
the colored version. The inks were by Daniel Henriquez. Excuse me. And the coloring was by Federico Bli. But this is Philip and Daniel. And this drawing appears, I don't think, anywhere else ever.
No, I think it's just a variant cover, right? I love that. And the blood, I'm assuming the blood coming off his hands.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. And then Miko, and I don't know how to pronounce his name properly. Swain?
That's something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Great. I love it's just more of a hyper realistic type look to it. But I just love it, the way he's got, the claws coming down.
The armor isn't silver, it's chrome.
Yeah.
So, people, well, why do you have a guy who's in the shadow who's dressed in silver? Well, he isn't. He's dressed in chrome. And as we all know, chrome is 100% reflective.
Yeah.
So if you're standing in a dark alley and you're wearing chrome, nobody can see you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That actually is a takeoff of a Secret Wars cover with Wolverine. He's clawing down.
Really?
Yeah, Secret Wars, not like the old school Secret Wars, but the revamped Secret Wars that came out that had, I think it was like issue 3 or something like that.
Huh.
Like
I didn't know that.
It's Wolverine. It looks almost exactly, and he's clawing down the book. Yeah.
Now, besides local comic shops, is there any? I just see. So this is from SHADOWHAWK Talks. A huge fan of yours. Links anywhere? Anyone? Is it only comic shops? I'm so screwed. I guess there isn't too many comic shops in this area.
Oh, that's too bad. But there are online dealers that are pretty recommended that they do sell this stuff. And of course, there's always eBay, and the book will be available on Comixology. So there is ways to get it if you just want to read the book. Comixology is good, and if you want one of the specials he covers, eBay is probably your best bet, or one of the larger mail order stores.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to go.
I won't say any names because I don't want to, but we all know who they are.
Yeah. And SHADOWHAWK Talk, since you're a big SHADOWHAWK fan and a fan of the show on the channel, if you DM me too, I can let you know. I have pretty much reached all my local shops to see what covers I could get. So if there's anything you're looking for too, I can help you out there.
Good.
If you had another thing, happy retirement from Tommy. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take
300. You'll want to retire too.
Yeah, I do. I want to retire now.
I
want to retire like Todd did 1990.
Go retire and just do Islander cards. That's it. You can do hockey cards, but strictly only the Islanders.
Hockey cards. Yeah, there you go.
Just the Islander cards.
And then a good friend of ours and a good friend of the show, guys. This is a retailer variant, but Murat Michaels.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that nice? I love how he made the black just fade into the back. I just loved it. Murat, early on, Rob championed Murat. And talk about a guy getting a lot of crap. Murat got a lot of crap. And over the years, he has just grown and grown and grown and really has come into his own, I think. He's always been a great guy, but as an artist, he's truly come into his own.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He used to have to eat a lot of fast food, like Taco Bell and stuff, from what I hear.
What?
Marat was the first comic book.
If you listen
signature I ever
to one of Rob's episodes, is Comics and Fast Food on his podcast, and
Right.
he he actually goes and apologizes to Marat because he's like he probably got it the worst because he's like he always made him go to Taco Bell with him, and they'd eat Taco Bell all the time.
Which is strange because I always remember Rob eating Carl's Jr.'s. He would want the chicken sandwich.
Yeah, he mentioned that too.
Yeah.
He said you and him used to do, because you shared the studios. You guys go for walks, 7-Eleven walks, get some candy and slushies and stuff, while you guys are walking and talking. So it looks like we got a super chat here from the great Renzini.
Oh yeah, that's Mike who works with me.
That's
my
your
buddy.
Mariah Michaels right there. Hi, Jim. I'm a big fan of SHADOWHAWK, and I ordered the entire set off eBay from a retailer. Was the gold surprise variant or a 1 in 200? I need the gold for my set.
Get in line.
Yeah.
You have to fight for that.
I know there was 100 of them printed. I have 30 that I've signed and numbered. They're all gone, unfortunately. They're all being given away to people who worked on the book or worked with me or that kind of thing, and
That's awesome.
grandsons and things like that. So
yeah.
Thank you for the $10 super chat, Mike. The great Renzini.
Next time, make it a 20.
No,
Yeah.
We know him. It's fine.
He works with Jim,
Yeah.
and he's like talking. That you have Jim Valentino on the show. He's like, and I don't know anything about these, about variants and stuff. What's collectible, and he's like, you guys talk to him, see if he's got any extra. Where can I get him? Because he collects. Sad face. He's not a dealer, and he collects. He collects. He's a real collector, and he's a huge fan of yours. So,
because at the beginning of the book, as you guys know, because you've read it, there's the Nomo.
Yes.
And they first appeared here.
Mm-hmm.
And the story, the SHADOWHAWK origin, was written by this new kid on the block named Alan Moore. And drawn by Steve Lee Aloha.
Yeah.
And
Steve's
this
awesome.
book it's got a framing sequence by Kurt Busiek that was drawn by Kyle Holtz. The Samurai SHADOWHAWK was written by Stan Sakai.
Oh, sweet.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah,
Drawn by James Fry.
Nostalgia Jimbo.
The Rapier SHADOWHAWK, the Three Musketeers SHADOWHAWK.
Mhm.
Len Senecal wrote that, a guy who did some editing for me a long time ago, and Ron Randall drew it.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, Ron, he's awesome.
And then the Cowboy SHADOWHAWK was written by Bo Smith and drawn by me. But don't let that stop you.
I hate that Bo Smith.
Bo Smith, ankle kicking son of a gun. Or is it shin kicking son of a gun?
Yeah,
I talked to Bo today.
Did you?
Yeah.
We gotta get him back on. We haven't talked.
I know,
to
we gotta get him back on.
Yeah.
He's
That's
busy.
incredible, man. That's so awesome. And what's cool though is while all this is going on and we hear of movies and film and all this stuff, and out of nowhere this article pops up, right? And the Good Place starts. I thought it was a hilarious show with Ted Danson. William Jackson Harper wants to play an unconventional superhero, and when talking about it, he wants to play SHADOWHAWK.
Nice.
It would be incredible if it happened. I think he'd be an awesome SHADOWHAWK. I even tried reaching out. We sent some messages to agents and everything. Like, hey, if you get a chance, the creator of SHADOWHAWK, would be interested. Bring it in.
Oh, you did now?
Oh yeah, yep. We found out who the agent was and sent that out, and then messaged him on social media directly. And we haven't heard anything yet, but hey, you never know. That would be cool. That is SHADOWHAWK. Because I'll be honest. After I read The Last SHADOWHAWK, I went and I've been rereading everything from the beginning because like I said, everything tied in so much. I blew through volume 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going through some of the one shots I love right now. And I'll tell you, it's probably a long shot, with the way film and production, all that stuff works. But I'll tell you, Shadowhawk is perfect to be adapted to film, especially in this day and age, because you were touching on subjects and things that are just so relevant now that back then, that's how your book stood out even more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure Billy can verify this because I'm sure he's been through it. And I've been watching the Sandman Show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reread Preludes and Nocturnes, and now I'm working on The Dollhouse. And it's amazing how close to the books the TV show has been.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, having had Shadowhawk optioned and Normal Man optioned and a few other things optioned, these guys don't want to do, the joke is, we love this Girl Scouts concept. Do they have to be girls?
Yeah.
And that's the way they are. And you look at these guys when they tell you their idea for your character, and you go, I'm just amazed somebody actually pays you.
Yeah. I know.
Like Billy shaking his head because I know you've been through this, right?
Yeah, we had a thing wanted to make change Anna in my book, Anna Ishikawa, her last name to Anna Lane.
Why?
And the reason is because the comics are just a little too Asian.
Oh.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I think the last one I had was Normal Man, and Normal Man and Captain Everything were twins. And I said, oh, this is twins. That's
yeah.
One of the guys has all the powers and is big and muscular, and the other guy's a scrawny little guy. No, we don't want to do twins, but here's our idea. And the first act, something. In the second act, they have, and this was their big idea, a power outage. And everybody loses their superpowers except Normal Man, who gets them all. And I said, you understand the concept is that Normal Man. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
No, let's do Normal Man, but make him Superman and change the world.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you listen to these guys and
you'll never see it coming.
Oh my God. How in the hell did somebody hire you?
I know. It's crazy. And they all come out at San Diego this year. Ran into a couple of them. Same thing,
I don't know if you've ever had this. We had, I think it was the last time I was in San Diego, and I had this rack filled with a bunch of books, right? And this guy comes up and he starts pulling the books off of the rack and putting them into a bag. And I look at him and go, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm a producer. I go, great, then you can afford to pay for those. Well, I'm not going to pay for them. Then put them the fuck back.
Oh my God.
Damn.
The arrogance. Yeah. I mean, I had in like 97 or 98 when Xena was that show. Xena was a big 99. I don't know what year.
Xena Warrior Princess?
No, yeah. And the producer came up to me and said, yeah, well, I want to let you know that we use this costume in the Xena when she becomes a samurai. Or she has two costumes. One's like a battle armor of sort. I'm like, you did what? He's like, yeah, and wait till you see it, you're gonna love it. I'm like, love it? You just, what are you out of your mind? You you could pull it up. Someone could find it. Xena and Samurai.
Yeah,
that's the
season 7.
The final. And he thought I would be excited and be appreciative of them ripping off my character, my costume.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I'll look for it while you guys. But I'm just like you were saying, the arrogance of these people. It's insane. It really is.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Hey,
I just love that. I'm a producer. It's okay. No, put it back. That doesn't mean anything.
No, this is how I make my living.
It's like. Yeah, go start taking some books off the shelf. What are you doing? It's cool. I'm vegan.
He's got like stains all over himself. He's like, I'm a producer. Don't worry about it. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like, what are you kidding me? Yeah,
in a couple of weeks, because there was a screw up with the glasses, but in a couple of weeks, the 3D version is going to come out. And so in the back I ran, I don't know if it's in the PDF I sent you guys, but I ran a bunch of covers, and they'll all be in 3D.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
sweet.
So they're in the I don't know if we can.
Here, I put Billy up here.
So that's the first set.
Oh,
And these are, again, they're going to be in 3D.
That's really cool.
The second set.
Yeah, I saw the cover. The cover is that one with Bad Rock, and it says now in 3D
wow.
or whatever.
Look at that. I didn't know.
Yeah,
that's a
what's
new
that?
image
Yeah.
I didn't see.
yeah. What's the image on the
That's the space one. Was that the original
Yeah.
image that Philip
One
drew?
here,
No,
No,
the
that's
other one.
the space
Lighthouse.
one.
This one's from
Yeah.
Lighthouse. That's Philip and Brian Haberlin.
Yes.
And then this one here, the helmet is Brian Haberlin.
That's so cool.
Look at the reflection
Yeah,
you
it's
put on the
insane.
bottom of it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, dude.
Yeah, wait until you see it in 3D. And then the Chris Giussaro cover, and probably one of my favorite things that I did with Shadowhawk.
Nice.
Wonderful.
So all those will be in 3D.
And there's a close up of the helmet one from Brian.
Yeah,
Haberlin.
he paint. Oh my God, Brian! Wow.
You feel
Yeah,
like you could pick that up.
Brian's
put
so
it on.
good at that.
At like the 11th hour, and
Yeah.
I showed it to Eric Stevenson, and Eric said, "We have got to find a way to publish that, to print that one."
You got to find a way to manufacture that,
Um,
like a helmet people could buy.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing a montage with all the helmet covers, because there's several. And like you said, they're kind of iconic.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
You
the
could
cool thing is
recognize.
you can do whatever
yeah,
you want.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can do whatever
You
you
can do
want.
whatever you
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't need nobody's permission. You just do it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of the cool. It's like the second coolest thing about my job. The first coolest thing is finding brand new creators and getting them on the stands. That's the coolest.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then Itchy 5.
you.
Those are beautiful covers.
Or
And
whatever.
Shadowhawk Talks wants the helmet.
On a helmet.
So now,
I actually have an actual Shadowhawk helmet.
oh, incredible.
I don't know what
You
it's made out of. Somebody, it dropped and a chunk of it got taken off. But
You should have
it's
said
there.
that. I wouldn't have said that.
What was that, Billy?
I said I wouldn't have said that out loud because
But-
the person gave it to him, someone made it, gave it to him, and they just like, oh no, I worked for weeks on that.
It was a little kid. He was playing with my kids back in the day when they were all little.
Let's just say he wasn't invited over again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was fun, Timmy. Go home.
No, but Jimmy, I think that's great that you said that about you're seeing new creators and putting them on the stands, because you've always been very, very selfless with your time and your knowledge and your experience with new creators. Even with me, you always had time for me to talk to me and stuff, and that's one of your great legacies too, is being a mentor and an incredible inspiration for scores and scores of creators. So I applaud you for that. I salute you, sir.
Oh, thank you. I for me, it's just I feel real lucky to be where I am,
Yeah, you worked hard. You deserve it. You
Yeah.
deserve every bit of it. You worked
Yep.
hard. And you help share. That's what I find. I feel like it's harder now for a lot of artists, especially artists trying to get into the field. Is the mentorship is not there as much. I know even back, early 90s, late 80s, there was, it was starting to get into, you FedEx your stuff in or whatnot, the bullpen got smaller and things like that. But it just seems like there's so much less of it. A lot of stuff is actually done like this. I email something to Billy emails something to me. You look at it, you get on a stream, you go over it, but that like over the shoulder, like, oh, hey, you know what? Let's meet up today in person. Let's go over this or do that. Or, there's always advice we can give one another, but there's also the act of like the true, just kind of, helping the apprentice out, passing down the skills.
Plus,
that
you don't have
kind of seems missing.
It's very time consuming making comics.
Yeah, it
You
is.
also really don't have a lot of time to do it. You know, but you've always found a way. You know, and
Well, usually at conventions and stuff like that, you know, it's always been easier, you know. But I don't think there's any big secrets, you know, and I think we should encourage, you know, and that's all I've ever tried to do is encourage people, but, you know.
I think it's just absolutely incredible, and I mean, like, you know, when you think about it, and you look at all these other people that have done all these things throughout the years, I mean, you are a legend, hands down a legend. I mean, you can disagree, but I mean, you're definitely a legend, and you have a legacy that's going to last forever because of the work that you've done. And there's a lot of people that like to believe they have that, but you actually have it. And I think it's just phenomenal. I mean, I can't thank you enough for all the work you've done and the impact you had for sure in my life and comics in general. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for you know, your ragtag crew and your participation involved. I mean, yeah, it's yeah.
And you have the great Chance Wolf is in.
Yeah.
And thank you. But Jim taught me more than anyone about making comics and giving me a huge break into the biz. I am forever in his debt. So we all thank you for that too.
Yeah. Well, Chance, what an amazing guy. He can do anything. I mean, he's just astounding. The scope of his talent is amazing. And I remember when I first hired him, Todd came up to me. I don't even know if Chance knows this. And Todd says, you better treat him right. So yeah, Chance is very beloved. I know Rob had him ink some stuff not too long ago. And Rob was like, I always wanted Chance to ink my stuff, you know. Yeah. Chance is very humble about it and very self-effacing, but he's really brilliant, just brilliant.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his work he's posted. He's phenomenal. He's a great illustrator as well.
Yeah.
He's an illustrator. He's a musician. He's a sculptor. He's a painter. I mean, there's nothing he can't do.
Incredible.
Yeah. Sort of like you, Blevins.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy on top of it. So, you know, there you go.
Awesome. Well, Jim, I want to thank you for you know, hanging out with us and talking. It's a blast as always, just getting a chance to pick your brain and talk about this new issue that's coming out. Again, The Last SHADOWHAWK, everyone, will be in your local comic shops, online retailers, and anywhere else that's going to be selling this book this Wednesday, August 17th. You can get it in hand. Great read. If you're a SHADOWHAWK fan, this is just the icing on the cake. It brings it full circle.
Absolutely.
And oh man, it was just
amazing
so powerful
art
and
too, with it, like
amazing.
They're all double page spreads, but they're like borderless panels. Astonishing. Just, I mean, Philip really just, I mean, he brought his A game.
Oh yeah, he did.
It is just there's not a piece of white on the whole book.
Oh, there really is.
It's just color, you know.
And tomorrow on Facebook, if you follow my Facebook page, because I don't do Twitter and all the rest of those because I'm old. But if you follow my Facebook page, we're going to have a preview, a couple of pages previews. So
nice.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. No, just the first couple of pages. First couple of threads.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to remember this because I think that it's pretty... Whoa. I think it's pretty awesome that I got to... Yeah.
Well, I think it's pretty awesome I got to talk with you guys and show you some stuff.
Well, again, you know, Jim, seriously, thank you though for such your positive energy. I mean, well, when did you break in? Are you talking 30, 40 years ago? What year did you break into comics?
Depends on how you look at it. Yeah, it depends. I could say mid 80s, early 80s, something like that. You know,
So you're
I did
talking 40
undergrounds.
years. Yeah, you're almost 40 years in the industry. And again, and then with everything with Image, especially starting with this book. And again, you're just an amazing, you are just a creative ball of positive energy. And you're so humble too, which is pretty, aside from all that you've accomplished and all that you've helped.
Pretty funny guy too. I like his posts. I like following him on Facebook. He's got some funny stuff. I'd like to have him back on just to talk about some things because you're a funny guy too, Jim. I like your posts usually crack me up. What's that?
I said, yeah, but looks aren't everything.
Oh no!
Funny how, like a clown?
Like a clown funny?
Is that what you're saying?
Nice. Excellent. Well, everyone, you know what to do. You know where the book's going to be. And then once we have it in hand, me and Blevin's going to do a little review just with the actual physical book in our hand, just talking about the pages, looking at the art right in our hands. So that's going to be fun. So we may do that later this week. Should be a great time. And anything else you ever have going on, Jim, if you ever want to promote anything else that's going on with Shadowline that you're working on, if you ever want to pop anything on, you're more than welcome to come or hang out with us. I know you don't do conventions, but these you can do in the comfort of your home. And it's usually a good time. So I do want to thank you again for coming on. Thank you for, always taking the time to talk to us, whether it's, we're just messaging you a question or whatnot. It really is an honor and a privilege, my friend.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and even if you want to come on just to talk comics and all, we have some great shows where we just, we'll talk Silver Age and stuff like that. And we just, you as Jim Valentino, the fan, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's plenty to talk about there.
Yes, sir.
Be great.
There you go. All right, everyone. Have a great night. And I will see you all. What do we got? I'm recording. There'll be a new episode. It's actually the last back issue of the Steve and Semino Says Boom show from their old channel, since they transitioned over to the POPXP. So we're going to air that Wednesday night. You can check that out. That's their last back issue I'm bringing over. Now, everything beyond that point will be 100% brand new. We've been weaving that in between the back issue episodes. And then Thursday, I will be live for Creator Power Hour, and we're going to be diving into some awesome crowdfunding campaigns. We've got Keith Gleason on. We've got Mike Burns, and it's going to be a fun show. So I will see you all Wednesday live.
Don't forget Monday.
Next
Monday.
I was going to announce that Thursday.
Oh,
but our friend Kevin
now.
Van Hook, co-creator of Bloodshot's going to be on. He's a filmmaker, visual effects specialist who's worked on. Maybe he knows a little something about that Xena thing. He worked on special effects for that.
Oh, did he?
We're going to ask him. We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Like, did you
I can
copy
show you
Billy,
if you
Kevin?
got a quick second. I'll show you the.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I
Did you
found
find
it. Yeah.
What is it?
That
Share
was
the
the-
screen.
there you go.
Let's see.
That was the cover to the season, the disc. That was the.
Oh,
So look at that. That's my costume.
Yeah.
And they thought, and
Wow.
he thought I would be proud of it, and happy that they ripped me off. You can't really see,
They don't appreciate comic book people.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is her costume.
Like, gee, look what we did for you.
Yeah. Or, isn't this cool?
Okay,
You gotta see
great.
that.
Where's
You're gonna
the-
love it.
Yeah.
Jimmy literally told me I was gonna love it.
Yeah.
You ripped my character. Oh,
It's like, hey, comic book guy, your costume's on TV. Be grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
We did.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, well, be grateful you stole my idea. Where's my check? My
Yeah.
attorney will call you. Incredible.
Yeah,
And it still happens.
Dan says, "Oh, thanks so much. I truly appreciate that, Jim."
Okay, guys.
All right, everyone, have yourself a great night. Thanks again, Jim. Levins, as always, a pleasure. Tucci, go have some fun, and we'll see you all on the next one. Have a good
Bye,
night,
everybody. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on POPXP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the POPXP and over on Instagram at the POPXP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.